iPhone 7. Come on, Paul. Evening, everybody. Just a bunch of random stuff got to get catching up on here tonight. Although this thing we have here is an iPhone 7 that has come in and it has been liquid damaged. Dropped in a puddle or something, I'm not quite sure. All I know is it doesn't work anymore. Or at least supposedly doesn't work anymore. Let's see how bad that liquid's going to be. Well, at least it didn't slosh out on me yet. Yeah. Oh, that's... that's a literal up the creek. Okie dokie dokie dokie. If we're lucky, it took something out that can afford to be taken out and saved everything else. If we're unlucky, it just sat there grinding away. The electricity going num num and corroding everything in its path. I dare say it's probably going to be the latter. There's going to be a whole lot of num num. Yeah. Just unfortunate this one came in as I was busy doing a million other things, so I wasn't even able to get to it quickly. Because everything else was an emergency. Yeah. Batteries cactus for sure. Now the head's doing fine, it's still attached thankfully. I've been down to Townsville today and come back. So it was a interesting trip down. About half an hour out, I see this large snake on the road, and I wasn't sure if it was dead or alive at that point. Anyway, it turns out it was quite alive, and it was probably about a 2.5 meter long black-headed python, and it was just starting to make its way across the road. And this is a busy road with a lot of trucks, you know, highway, things like that, so I pulled off to the side, put my hazard lights on, jumped out of the car, and basically proceeded to try and coerce this colossal black-headed python across the road before he got run over, and at the same time stop people blindly just driving along and running over the poor chap, because he's got to be pretty old. Well, not pretty old, but actually it could have been a girl too. It's got to be reasonably old to get to that size. And I had a few cars that I had to stop. At first they're like, what is this maniac doing in the road? Because I'm like, stop, on a highway doing 110 k's an hour sort of thing. Okay, Paz, no one cares about the thumbnail. But fortunately the good news is he did make it, or it made it across the road, but not before some people thought I was a lunatic. But quite frankly, I just don't care. When you have an opportunity to save an animal like that, I'm all the more happy to do it. Even if it does leave some people thinking I'm a weirdo, I really don't care. It was a superb specimen of a black-headed python, and if someone had run that thing over, it probably would have slowly died. Yeah, it would not have been instant, most likely, because good chance you're not going to get the head. You're just sort of going to crush the middle body of it. It's a slow, dreadful death and a waste. So I'd rather not see that. Will you be doing demonstration live? How do you remove stitches? Probably not. I'm not too competent with that. as much as I wish I was. I did want to be a doctor as a kid. Certainly I had all the medical journals and the encyclopedias and all that trash. But in the end, it wasn't for me. I became a electronics doctor instead. Why are you stuck there? Oh, yeah, that's right. That damn hidden screw that gets me almost every single time. There's an itty bitty screw that just sits behind here, and you can easily miss it if you're busy chatting away on YouTube. Ah, right. Yeah, this has got a good soak. I can see. Yeah, this is just full on soak out. Ramos, thank you. Miles, well, you know, the black-headed pythons don't do it. They're really very disinclined to do anything to you. Very, very disinclined. I tried to coerce it by, you know, just touching its tail and, you know, try and make it move ahead a little quicker. But it actually made things worse because it turned back and said, "Oi, sod off, mate. I know how to cross a road." And I'm like, "Really? You know how to cross a road?" But, oh man, this is going to be fun. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, fortunately it did get across, so that is the key thing that matters. Damn, almost out of alcohol. A PR, B-Dog. Oh, staying in the highway. Yeah, that was pretty ballsy, but yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And yeah, there was a pretty good visual range, and obviously I was positioning myself in such a way that I could jump out of the way if I had to. There's a couple of tourists coming in, I could tell by the way they were driving and stuff, but they were like, "Why is this man in the road? Get out of the road, you crazy escaped asylum lunatic with your gash in your head. Clearly you've had brain surgery." So, yeah, that was fun. Jim, wow, I was wondering where you were the other night. I had a couple of days of respiratory issues, 2 rapid tests, so it looks like normal infection, not Omicron. Oh, okay. Is this a cut, snip, snip job? Are you talking about the iPhone 7, or are you talking about my head? Because the head was a sniper shot from a great big slab of wood hidden in the tree. I really hate doing this, but we have to do it for this particular situation. But I really hate doing this. Yeah, we cannot realistically take this one off. I don't want to take this one off. I hope I don't have to take this one off, because as soon as you take this off, that there is destroyed, and without that you have to rebuild it so that you can get backlight and a few other things. It's a major pain in the backside. Ah, the iPhone, right. Yeah, this is going to be a tear down, wash and evaluate. Hope and pray that after the wash it will actually be okay. So Miles, last time I tried that, all I got was a load of expletives as the so-and-so jumped out of his car and tried to bash you. What? Oh, crazy people. Okay. You always got to get rid of that little bit of silicon there, or whatever it is. Because too many times you try to initially lift the shield up and you spend a little bit too much time on it and you wonder why it won't lift up. What was the spare part chip in that crevice? Oh, who knows? Who knows? Genuinely, who knows? I really don't know. I'm basically trying to work out here what parameters I need to get this off, because I haven't done shield removal for the iPhones like this with this hot air station before, so I'm sort of just having to feel my way. I could do the gravity drop, but this is almost like a gravity drop. Okay, the front's certainly come up. I'm not sure why the sides... Oh, there we go. And just don't let gravity recapture it. Let's see. Looks like tri-stars to me. I'd say that's a tri-star. Yep, that's a tri-star. And yep, that's a tri-star. Lots of tri-stars. Alright, well, I'm actually pleased to see that the CPU area looks quite clean. There isn't any corrosion getting in there. Naturally, of course, if I had not lifted that, there would be corrosion galore in there, and I wouldn't find out until I probably get to about 95% on my file transfer backup, and it goes doom, dies, and then I never see it again. And I'd only have 95% of my data, and I wouldn't have a manifest. And then everybody would be crying. It'd be like watching the next two movies of The Matrix all over again. Yeah, the PMIC area's really got me worried. Alright, let's scrub-a-dub-dub. Get some 80/20 in there. See what doesn't fall off. Wait, what do you want me to move? Oh look, there's some extra chips here too. What are you guys? Oh, you're... What? These are more. Are these the ones I just took out? Yeah, it is. Somehow they magically came out. Oh well. Corner cap looks bad. Oh, they all look bad. They all look bad. You're talking about this one here because it's got some green on it. But yeah, they all look pretty damn atrocious at this point. I'm just being gentle. Like you're trying to caress it to come to your side and be with you. And give you its data. Good to see none of this area got damaged, but this here is pretty trashed. But like I said, the 80/20 does a good job. So it gets rid of the stuff that was causing the issue, but doesn't hopefully create more issues. And we do follow up with some 100% afterwards. 20% hydrochloride, 20% water, 80% alcohol, and what I just put on there was 100% alcohol, or 99.98. It's about as far as I can get without having to get ludicrously expensive alcohol. It's very difficult to get that last smidge of water out of the process. And many a time, just opening the lid in a humid environment pretty much puts it back in. Where are you? Okay, we've got a whole lot of carbon black here. Speaking of which, if you are doing MacBook repairs, and you notice that on the latest MacBooks, it's got that thick heat transfer compound. You'd be pleased to know that Tim Herman is now producing or selling a suitable replacement for that, called Carbon Black, I believe. Anyway, he's got all the trademarks and such for it. It's pretty good job by him. And hopefully he'll sell quite a bit of it. Yeah, it's only for those particular jobs that do seem to require this sort of... It is very similar to this. Yeah, it's got like little balls in it or something, little beads. That's what I should call it, beads. Yeah, it's got little beads, and it's a thicker sort of paste. It's designed to be used on thicker applications as opposed to the usual paste where we have metal to metal. But yeah, it's on Tim's website, TCRS, Carbon Black. If you are doing things like the new M1s and or the 1932s, things like that. Hey, Shad. Alright, so we're just cleaning up best we can. Ew, that looked disgusting actually. Hey Christian. And at this point I would say we really need to just find the shorted stuff. I mean, I don't even know if it will boot yet, but I'm not going to be surprised if there's shorts, particularly up here. Just dry it off a bit. Obviously this is not going to be a return to service phone. This is get data off and toss it in the bin. And I think it's about time we put it back into its carrier assembly, because if I start probing it while it's free and running around, I will inevitably slip and regret something. Alright, so this is one of the big culprits, the potential bad looking ones, so we'll try it. Hey Branches. Let's see, does short work? Yeah. You see, you can't trust that, because for all you know, it is shorted, but that pad there is not conducting, because it's all messed up. So we have to bring up the board view and schematic. Fortunately, I was working on iPhone 7 earlier today. That was a fun one. It was probably one of the rare easy jobs, to be honest. And what are we looking at? Okay, VDD main. Okay, so that's the one that's looking pretty bad. So VDD main's been running. No great surprise. We will test it down here. I'll just get rid of that, whatever that trash is. Let's see if this is... Amazingly, VDD main is not shorted. I am very surprised. I would have put money on that being shorted, but oh, I'll tell you which one does look nasty though. This one here by the PMIC, that looks... oh, shite. Go to quad display so I don't have to keep remembering. This one here, see it's got a chip out of it? That looks ominous. Interesting, that's also a VDD main. I would almost be sorely tempted to knock that off purely for the fact that I kind of half suspect it will give up the ghost halfway through the process of recovery. The other one is this one here. What are you? Your NFC, and I do believe we would need that if anything goes wrong. The little board on A1466 have one corrode. Is it worth anything? Yes, they actually are. Those little daughter boards are becoming expensive as all heck. I do have... There is a board view and schematic for some of those. Okay, the concern I've got is under here I can see there's multiple bits and pieces that are not looking happy. Hey Rilla. Yeah, I'm trying to control my swearing. A little. Well, what's the point of my probes if they don't go beep beep beep? Yeah. Let's try that again. How quickly will you beep? Okay, that's good. Okay, let's have a look down here. That makes sense that they're opposing, so you can tell by the fact that it was electrolyzing stuff that is the same route there, going to be the same. These are grounds. That'll be an inductor surely. Yeah, you're good. This is a bit of a train wreck, but I think at this point we might actually try and see if we can get a boot. But I need to go get a battery, a screen, and a dock. Actually, you know what I can do? I'll first see how it behaves when I plug it in to this contraption. Where is it? There we go. So with MacBooks, I will remove a lot of parts a lot sooner, but with iPhones, it's like try not to disturb the beast unless I really, really have to. The power. That's actually a really good sign. I've put power on and it's drawing 0. So, yeah, let's try test. That's a normal boot. That is actually booting normally. At least I think it is. Okay, time to get iPhone 7 chassis. Bum, bum, ba, da, ba, da, la. Do I even have one here? I've got... Yeah. Someone needs a better workshop. iPhone 7. iPhone 7 white, black, unknown, white, black. Let's see, batteries 6 plus, 6 plus, 8 plus. Oh, come on. Do not tell me I do not have... Oh, thank goodness. Okay, iPhone 7 battery. What else don't I have? And the data flex. Just realised I found the matching battery for what I was trying to charge before. It's like when you play that card game, or those games, the memory games, where you flip over one card and then you got to try and remember where it was when you flip over the next. I was trying to find a battery in here. Jason, this you missed the fun one. This is just a liquid damage, and fingers crossed this is a case of it will work simply when we rig it up. I see, at least Jason was able to keep you entertained while I was off gallivanting around the countryside. So I tried to take my finger off. That's okay. Got a couple. Jason, shouldn't you be working? Make your $1 million since you're already well on your way to that, given that you've got quite a lot of subscribers now. You should be able to create an enterprise based on your popularity on YouTube. Now, Teresa, you know, there's no real drama with the noggin. It's all pretty good. Hey, we've got a boot logo. Let's see if it actually gets to full boot. iPhone is disabled. Try again in 5 minutes. Well, that's not a bad thing. All right. What I'm gonna do is power it down, and then I will reconnect it back up in the workshop so that I can get the data off it rather than, you know, keep it running here. So for the most part, it looks like we should have a success here. I could be wrong. We may encounter a scenario where, you know, it won't accept touch input or something like that, but for the most part it looks like we should be okay. We got very lucky there. If we did, dodged a hell of a bullet. But it is something I will do after I've done everything else tonight. It's all of this basically goes in the bin. I'm not even game to try and put the home button back on there, just in case, you know, you don't want to mess up something. I do have the correct passcode as far as I know, because I have dealt with this person in the past and the passcode remains fairly consistent. Thank goodness for that. Okay, now today I went to Townsville, I visited my secret store, and I bought myself home a nice haul. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 165s, and then there was the bonus of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 3437s. So it looks like I've got some testing and repairing to do. Now the first thing I'm going to do is actually find a 165 that we can repair to maybe replace the one that had the PCH blowout last night. So the 3437s are mostly low end ones, but yeah, they're still useful. I can always find buyers for these if they're fixed. Bonus A1534. Oh yeah, sure, yeah. That's the sort of bonus you get, Pedro. Alright, so let's see, we need this is a 1.64, we need a 1.68. 1.84, why would they do that? 1.8 gigahertz, but they killed it at 4 gigs RAM. 1.68. Let's try this one, see if we can bring it to life. There is a possibility that this actually already works. So, fingers crossed, we might get lucky. Got my chipmunk. Oh, I've already got a chipmunk. I've got chipmunks everywhere. What is this? Central Park? Wasn't that PCH just helping you with the gardening? I think the PCH was afflicted with the same issue that I got afflicted with. It ran into something nasty. Alright, so we've got our 18 volts. Let's see if... Good on you, mate. Screwdriver's falling on the ground. Yep, it works. Yeah, I really don't know. Do you really want to work here? Around about now is when I get nervous. I don't see the blink. And it looks like we don't have a blinker. What are we drawing? 334. It is an unusual value. That's not right. Okay, first thing with these ones we do is we will check the resistance on the CPU, because it's not unusual for the 165 if it does this sort of thing to be a CPU issue. It doesn't have to be the PCH. 11 ohms, that's actually good. Alright, 11 ohms is pretty good, but we've got 300 milliamp draw, that's different. We'll plug the power back in, we will check the voltages on a couple of things. Oh, Sonia, what's happened? Let me have a look now. Ah, Sonia, sorry to hear about that with your brother. Not good. The way it's such a heavy thing to deal with. Well, thank you for dropping in at least. Hopefully it can give you a bit of sense of some kind of normality, I suppose. It's hard to describe, I guess. Alright, let's see what our PP bus. 8.6, 342 should be fine. Yep, that's fine. Okay, 3v3 RTC. Okay, we do not have 3v3 RTC. I really should create a list of the key items to check. The sort of things that really give you a quick glance on what could possibly be wrong, whether... Okay, we've got a bit of corrosion there, Backlight's fine. Oh yeah, mate. That, I'm willing to take that. We'll take that as a reason for not working. Welcome back, Steve. Oh, Sonia, if you want to stick around and just keep us in background, we're here. It's probably limited capacity as we are, but we're still here. Even with my half-broken head. So we do very much need this chip. I'm kind of curious as to why it might be because it's inhibiting the chip, as in it's telling this not to turn on RTC. Come on. It looks like it's something sugary, but I can't smell it. But it's definitely behaving like sugar. Oh yeah, I can't smell it because the fume extractor's on. Gonna take some hard drives to where my brother worked. Oh, you've got to, right. Alright, since this is most likely sugar, we're going to hit it with 80/20. And yeah, sure enough, the 80/20 lifts it up. So it's probably Coke or something like that. Now I'm kind of curious to see why, or if that might be why we don't have 3v3. Schematics. On the RTC, that is. Okay, so I measure 3v3 RTC here. I know it says PPV RTC, but it's the same thing. And what is that? SPI ROM, 3v3 SAS. Doesn't really have any relation there. Or maybe it was just killing it before it even got to the point where it would bother to turn on the RTC. I would have thought that'd have to be running. Maybe we've got more damage elsewhere. Well, we'll replace that anyway. At least we've got a lot of donors if we need them. Didn't get your bag of coal. That's because coal was selling at a premium. We've also got corrosion up here and there. And maybe ultrasonic is a good thing for this. Maybe there's more corrosion that I haven't seen yet, and this is not even the worst of it. Oh, sorry folks. No, not overhead. Microscope is what you want, not overhead. Overhead is the one that's above my head. Microscope is the one that's the microscope. Wow, you really don't want to take solder at this point. Hey, Paul Smith. Okay, now you should take solder. Running low on flux. Better order another box. That's much better. Yeah, I need to order directly from Amtech. I don't really want to buy flux through Pedro's cousin in the New York, Mr. Rossman. Family of the ice scam. We've got one. Oh, that's a beautiful looking chip there. We'll take that. I do get people asking me to, import and resell the flux quite a bit, but it's just not worth it for me. Like, even if I sell it at 50 Australian bucks a tube, I'm basically making nothing on it. It's expensive stuff, but it's good stuff. But yeah, it's even that. Even when you buy a box of 10 of it, and I don't think you get another price break until maybe 100, and you really don't get that much of a price break. So importing flux for resale is really more of a community service than anything else. It's definitely not a profiteering move. It's probably why I haven't done it. I think Pedro should do it. He's full of community love. Pedro Rossman. Ah, there. Order it from Jessa. That's not going to help me with getting it to Australia. Like I said, I've got no problem buying the box of 10. I do go through it. Maybe not 10 a year, but certainly 5 I'll go through a year. Mostly because I don't go crazy with it like some people. It's like with toothpaste. You know, you get some people and they go through tubes of toothpaste every week. And it's because they just squeeze it out all over the place and then shove it in their gob, and half of it comes falling back out as complete lumps rather than them using it properly. So they basically substitute proper protocol and usage with volume to cover up for their inabilities. Oh yeah, that cap looks a bit nasty, doesn't it? I wonder if that's shorted. Jesus, Jim, why aren't you a mod? You are a mod. Alright, got me confused there for a second. I gotta admit, that's actually quite low, that rail. But we'll keep an eye on that. But it is moderately low. Yeah, that's probably going to be causing issues. That maybe I just want to see if I get my 3v3 back, or my RTC back rather, because it could be that the PCH is actually Cactus and it's trying to put out the 3.3 volts, but the PCH is shorting it down. You know what, I should just diode mode it. That would be the sensible thing. It could also be an SMC fault. Something like maybe it thinks SMC lid and so on is down. Alright, let's diode mode that RTC output to the PCH and see what we get. .42, that's pretty normal. With diode modes, for the most part, if it's anything between 0.35, 0.4 to 0.7 or up, you're usually fine. Most of the time you don't even really actually need the data readings. You just sort of guess it. Where it does make a difference though is when you're comparing I2C lines. So it doesn't matter what the actual value is, so long as the pair match each other. And if they match each other and they're reasonable values, then they're probably good. But if they don't match, then it's probably bad. Send Paul Band-Aid. I don't need Band-Aids. This thing's got to stay free and open in the air. Can't have it occluded by Band-Aids. Okay, we've got 600 milliamp current, so I'm going to expect that to blink. Come on, blink, 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 blink. Give me a blink. I'm giving up hope now. Fading rapidly. Oh, come on. Come on, give me the blink. Ah, it's gone back to 300. Okay, so it actually starts out normal and then it falls back to 300. That's interesting. Alright, let's clean up the other areas. Hey Wayne Noob, repair. Ah, that was disappointing. Wah wah wah. Oh wait, I can't use that. That's a Dave Jones thing. And he'll probably get up and angry about that. And Dave Jones looks like the sort of guy I wouldn't want to have to deal with when he's angry. He looks like he'd probably smack the absolute snot out of me with ease. So yeah, best I stay on Dave's good side. Zykos from Greece, good evening. I've never heard Dave make that sound. Haven't you? Ah. Yeah, Dave uses it quite a lot and things don't go well. It's wah wah wah. Or at least I'm pretty sure it's Dave. Great, now I can't even get my YouTubers right. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. It can be initially, but it can also be obnoxious after a while. I do remember a lot of us when we start out with our YouTube channels, like say we were previously big Rossmann watchers and we start out our channels, it's incredibly difficult to not find yourself doing the imitation of the person that you tend to follow. And it takes many months, many videos. That's a train wreck, we'll throw that away. It takes a very long time for most people to develop their own recipe of who they are. Or rather, I should say, to smooth over the rather jagged patchwork of personalities into something that seems more cohesive. But yeah, it takes a long time. And the thing is, you are aware of it when you're doing it, but a lot of the problem tends to be when you're starting out with this sort of stuff, you're rather nervous about what you're doing and you're panicking about boring the daylights out of your viewers. So your brain wants to operate a lot quicker because you're thinking, okay, I've got to keep up, keep it entertaining, don't slack off. And in order to lessen the load on your brain goes for things that you already like and certain habits. And that's why it ends up happening. Yeah, we've got to put a new chip down there. You can create your own style by steaming a hard hat. Streaming a hard hat? Yeah. In a hard hat. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a long-term thing for me with the head damage. Certainly hope not. I always initially think that these little chips are going to be 4-pinners, and then I find myself constantly surprised when I lift them up to find out that, oh yeah, that's right, they're 6-legger. But it's surprising how no matter how many times I do it, I do, at least for a fraction of a second, think I'm going to get a 4-pinner here. I will say the most annoying, well I shouldn't say the most annoying, but it is surprisingly annoying to have to reball chips that size with 4 balls on them. It's just really a pain. Is this board powered on? No, it's not. Start to get worried when you begin doing the badadim badadum thing. Ah, yeah, no, that's definitely not mine. Dope Deadpool. Yes, this is from a MacBook, A1466 MacBook Air. This is probably 2015, 2014. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. And yes, we're repairing it. Though I'm starting to worry that we've got ourselves a SMC issue. I sincerely hope not. But I am getting worried about it. Although it still doesn't explain the loss of my RTC output. Alright, so we fixed up a couple more things. Put my glasses on and I might be able to probe that RTC voltage while it's powering up. Because it is interesting that, let's go into voltage mode. It's interesting that it runs at 600 for a while and then it shuts down. Ah, there we go. So we've got 3.3. Question is now, does it go away? Wow! That's not good. That there is the... If it is what I think it was, that there is the dead 165 board fault. I'll put a fan in it and demonstrate. And unfortunately, we encounter a considerable number of 165 boards doing this. And to date, no one's really found a true cause or fix as such. It can be intermittent, but ultimately it's never fixable. Okay, so we get a fan spin. And then partway through the fan spin, it will change RPM ever so slightly. It sort of, yeah, slows down and now it's going to come back up. It's a donor board. This one's a donor. My guess is something went wrong and it blew the PCH. And like I said, we really do not have an idea as to why it does this, or what the actual culprit is, but the symptoms are very consistent. Yeah. It was a turn-off. I have had ones before where they actually do work and then they all of a sudden just give up and go to that dreaded fake 3437 behavior. I suppose what I could do is actually move these RAM chips to the 4 gig version. That's always a possibility. But for now, that looks like it's a donor. And we just put marks on it to remind me not to try and revive this one. We've got another one that might be that spec. Board has been virused by older software. 4 gig. This person's going to want 8 gig for sure. 4 gig. Oh, please be an 8 gig. 4 gig. Oh, son of a gun. Yeah, these are all 4 gigas. There's no fun in that. Yeah. Alright, well, we'll take a break from the 1466s for the moment. and bring up a real machine that I need to fix, which, oh wait, is a 1466. It's a real one though, but I gotta get to it. Let's see what's going on with this one. This one's very well stickered. Hinges are a little bit loose, but not too bad. Bring up a job code. Job code. Come on, where are you, job code? Yay, job code. Obviously just feeling a bit sleepy today. Alright, so what was this one? Orange juice spill. Oh, okay, alright. There's no point in me then in that case powering this up. I'm only going to make things worse if I do that. Just going to go straight in. This is going to need at the very least keyboard replacement. And yeah, probably has mainboard damage. Why don't you just glue an extra four? Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll stack them on top. There was a time where you could actually do that. Stack them on top and just lift up the address select pin, I think it was. This is back when you had 4116 chips for memory. Stuff like that. And you went from a whopping 4 kilobytes of RAM to 8 kilobytes or something like that. The horrible old days. I don't call it the good old days, though. The horrible old days. Sure, it was fun as a tinkerer, but for actually getting things done, there were so many limitations that you're constantly fighting with. So it's nice now to be in an era where we have 4K TV, high-speed internet, high-speed processors, all the good stuff that we dreamed that we would have. Twink. Alright. Oh dear God, yeah, this is probably dead. It's a 165. Battery's been disconnected at least, so that was very good of them. Thank you very much. Nice when the people understand that if they're going to be sending it up to me, that's probably not a bad idea if it's a liquid spill to disconnect the battery or just take it out. So thank you very much. Yep, helps if Paul takes out the middle one. Ta-da! Hilariously, none of the liquid markers have gone off on that. That's fantastic. 1148, 1148. Did you thread your own cores for the AK upgrade? Oh, okay. I wasn't that far back. At least when I was getting into computers, you know, we did have the Z80, and computers were more than just a couple of blinking lights on the wall. And I'm very happy to have started out in that slightly more advanced era. Okay, mark their data, because we do not want to accidentally lose this stick of data in the workshop. Pick it up one day and go, uh-oh, whose is this? We don't know. It's quite a terrifying moment when that does happen to you. Or worse, I suppose, when you're looking for their data and you're like, where's their drive? And you realize that you have no idea where you have misplaced their drive. Now, there are some people who have exceptional workshop deportment, maybe? Is that a word for it? People who just simply do everything perfect. Smug little so-and-sos. And those things never happen to them. Mostly because they spend most of their time on YouTube comments telling everyone how superior they are and that everyone who can't do that is a complete moron. But back in the real world, Yeah. Mark your stuff, so if you do misplace it, you always know where it came from. Ooh, won't let me scroll. Steve, I pretend that Australia has high speed. And CD, you're right, do not miss the sound or the lag of the old dial-up modems. My first one, I bought a Banksia in PC card because it was a little bit cheaper. It was a 1200, yeah, 1200 board. That was pretty good. My parents hated it though, because I had it on an automatic dial-up to the BBS to pick up my Fido mail each morning. $300 phone bills later, my parents are questioning their choice of bringing me into this world, and were contemplating me being departed from this world. And it didn't stop after the first bill. So I couldn't help it. I was an addict. Computers were my thing. Question from Dope Deadpool. Which part of the main board is most vulnerable on liquid spills? All of it, but I suppose the biggest killers tend to be the spills that get the CPU, GPU voltage regulators. When those things get hit and the regulators lose their sense of feedback and what voltage they should be running at, that's inevitably when we get killed machines. Or when it lands on a MOSFET and causes the MOSFET gate to be permanently driven on the high side, and it won't turn off, so you just got this constant. Oh wow, yeah, 342 is destroyed here. Okay, so we've got this 342 voltage section. It's been very messed up, but it's not so common for that to end up destroying the machine. You may maybe ruin the ISL and the SMC, but you're not likely to destroy the entire machine. It's repairable still. And this stuff here, yeah, the orange juice has done a rather good number on this. It does make me contemplate throwing it in the ultrasonic first, but I might 80-20 it and see how we go. 80-20 is like poor man's ultrasonic. The nice thing is it does still leave enough of a hint about what's happened. So you're not going to come back to this area and have no idea that it was hit by orange juice. You can look at it and go, okay, you've been liquid damaged. But we're getting rid of the worst of the corrosion, flour or floral stuff that seems to grow out of the parts. And it gives you a chance to better evaluate what's going on. Hey, Anonymous. Yes, and yeah, quite conductive, relatively. Interesting, the backlight area doesn't seem too badly hit. We've got to flip the board over yet, so certainly brace yourselves for what could be a horrific experience. Let's see, SMC is probably, yeah, looks okay. Dusty, but it's okay. Even the backlight feedback line is okay. Amazing. That's a bit train wrecked. ISL looks okay. Camera looks okay. This must be a 2017 board, I think, because they changed the BCM chip, the camera controller chip, to that style recently. I could be wrong, but I seem to recall it being a more recent thing. It even managed to miss Allsys power good. That's impressive. Let's just Rub this off. Rub-a-dub-dub. Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised. So it looks like maybe if we're really lucky here tonight, this is essentially going to be mostly a 342 generation issue and a keyboard replacement. Because it's looking pretty good, really. Considering that, it was orange juice, and it'll normally wreck boards very quickly. Any pulp in there? Probably pulp-free orange juice. I suspect people who have MacBooks would tend to go for pulp-free. Then again, maybe if they got the Pro model, they go back to having a pulp in their orange juice. Because it's hip to be square. Whoops, no, we're not going back to American Psycho. Yes, it is, pal. Alright, I'm just having a bit of a brain race there. Anyone who's watched American Psycho can appreciate the impressive dark humor in that scene. That and the business card scene. Probably this is going to choke the living daylights out of my ultrasonic cleaner too. All this stuff that's going to wreck my crystal clear waters. But we got to do it. Anyway, I'm just going to dry this off a bit. By the way, drying off your circuit boards like this after you've put it through an ultrasonic cleaner, I don't recommend that. 90% of the time you will not dry it effectively. There will be liquid all under the BGA chips and things like that. Even when you use alcohol, you will get residue sticking around underneath, particularly the CPU. Which is why I use an air compressor now, and an oven. Alright, let's see how this behaves now that we have cleared the worst. What liquid do I use in the ultrasonic? I use a locally produced Ambersil ultrasonic cleaning liquid, 5:1 ratio, so I can get 1 litre of the liquid and then 5 litres of distilled water, mix it together. And my tank is 22 litres, but I can get away with just using about 12 litres. And it's okay. And I'd change that probably every 2 months at this rate. Alright, let's see how we go. We ain't got squat. Alright, I suspect we don't have 342, which is a good thing, in a way. So 342, and we have, oh damn it, we have 342, that's not good. Oh yeah, we do have, damn it, 8.6, what are we drawing, 22 milliamp. Are we missing PM Sleep S4L? That would be no fun. 3v3 RTC. We have that. Oh, right. So, we don't know what's going on here. Hey, B-Blood. Putting out fires. Oh, okay. Whereabouts are you? I know you've probably told me, but I'm terrible. I don't remember important things about people's lives. 22 milliamp. That feels like a short on a rail. Question is, which one? Should we cheat? Should we cheat? That's not even a question. It's not cheating if it yields results. Now you, oh, that's, but we're alive. I just saw that blink and then change its mind. Nope. Alright. This is going to be an ultrasonic job then. So basically what it means is that there's a bunch of junk on there. It effectively just needs to be ultrasonicked away, and we should be good. At least in theory. But we do need to change the keyboard. DJ Mr. Daniels ran into a chunk of wood. Would you believe? We had a disagreement. And out of that disagreement, my scalp decided to deglove from my skull ever so slightly. And because of that, I had to go down to the little hospital here and tell them my tale of woe. Alright, 1932 time then. I've got to get something that's conclusively... Yeah, everything tonight has been half and half fix. Okay. I want a solid smoking gun fix. A clear and well delineated start and end, as it were. Fixed earphone board. Oh, good. Excellent. Blame it on a magpie attack. Ha! No, they go for the eyes. Pedro, you are so childish for a man who's almost 90. How's the AI implant? Conflicting with the 5G implant. So... what is this? Is this 1932? Yes, this is a 1932. Some people like these machines, some people do not. Some people feel like they just drop dead at the blink of a hat, blink of the eye rather, as opposed to the drop of the hat. I personally don't mind them. I do enjoy the fact that the circuit board is very easy to gain access to. It can be a little bit problematic because it does, of course, have in it the much dreaded T2 chip, to which I don't think you could ever say is appropriately maligned, because it is a completely annoying piece of technology that really, was no fun at all. I'm glad they got rid of it with the M1 chip, consolidated it into the CPU. That's great. It's out of the way. Happy. Alright, so the first thing that strikes me here is this is a very clean machine, which is bad news, so I kind of feel like I should now just stop and say the CPU is dead. You upset a leader and she bashed you with a lump of wood. Yeah, well, kind of. She conned me. Okay. I haven't yet had a chance to chainsaw down the wood, but it will. I'm letting it sweat it a little bit. Ah, crikey, what did I just do there? Okay. Let's see what happens when we plug in power. 5 volts, 190, 50, 240, 0. 190, 50, 240, 0. Okay, so maybe we've actually got a issue with the CD32s. Or, maybe we've got corrosion that's been hiding around. That battery connector did not feel like that was in properly. try that again, just in case. Clean machine is bad news because typically it means there is going to be something in the electronics that's actually faulty, that isn't going to give you any clues. At least when you've got a dirty machine, you're almost guaranteed you're going to end up with some sort of corrosion somewhere, and that typically is your fault. So you find the corrosion, you fix the corrosion, ideally the fault gets fixed. It's not always going to happen that way, but it happens often enough that essentially seeing corrosion is seeing the fault in many ways. When you get a perfectly clean machine, all of a sudden you have to start using your brains, you have to diagnose things, you have to do voltage tests, diode mode tests. You've really got to actually turn on the brain. And, turning on the brain can be painful. And usually it's something that's going to take you several hours. So occasionally you will get a machine where it's perfectly clean, but maybe it's the keyboard. We're going to test that just now. We're going to disconnect everything, and I actually need to connect that USB-C back, and we're going to see if we get a change in behavior, because sometimes the power button can actually cause that, or the trackpad, or other parts. 140, 40, 240. Okay, so we've got the same sequence and still we're not getting to 20 volts. So we need to take this board out and have a look. Mr. Thank you from Chris Stevens above. Oh, I do apologise. I hate it when I get Chris Stevens, corrosion, blah blah blah. Hi Paul, just want to thank you for your stream content. I've learned so much. Fixed my first Xbox the other day. Oh cool. Guess what the issue was? Corrosion on one of the traces, killing the component and causing voltages. Aha! Keep recording videos talking about corrosion, the importance to sort it out, stop causing issues later. That's cool. I've actually never worked on a corrosion, an Xbox before. Some PlayStations I have, but not Xboxes. There probably is a bit of a demand for it here for me, but not really enough yet for me to look at, particularly not with how busy I am already with the MacBooks and also with the software and all the other stuff on the side. But I did try picking up the Nintendo Switches, and I've fixed a couple of those, but the market didn't really follow me on that one, so I've still got the parts for them, but I don't really get any of those coming my way. You still have got the old work tag up, oh right. No, beep. Did it bring it up? Still fault unknown. Yeah, that's the one. I do apologise if I don't see the comments at times. It makes, when you're on this side of the camera, even on a fairly quiet stream like this is, I mean, we've only got what, 100 people maybe, 126 people, and yet you can still get lost with the comments flying past. And yet you have people like Lewis Rossman, and they have 800 people or so on the chat, and he manages to do a pretty decent job of keeping track of everybody, or at least it seems that way. But by the same token, if he doesn't respond to certain posts that you make, either A, he's decided it's, he's just triaging your comments, or B, it's just normal human, normal to expect that someone's not going to be able to keep up with that many comments flowing across the chat window. So it could be my 9240. In the case where we don't have any sort of visible damage, we can postulate that perhaps someone plugged in something that went wrong and subsequently took out the ISL. Now you could go along and test various things, but I will not deny that it is actually much quicker to simply do the replacement like of the ISL, see how it goes. Hey Ed Boss. Lewis is a freak. Well, yeah, that's true. But he's a very important freak for the industry. Okay, so this is a 1521. Don't think I'll take the heatsink off just yet. We'll check the resistance of the CPU regs. The damn rose still didn't heal. Yeah, 24 hours, still didn't heal. I tried eating all sorts of things like you do in the games, and it didn't increase my heal speed, so I'm pretty upset about that. 7.9, this should all be much the same. 7.8, yeah, that's 9.7. Basically, these values that I'm getting here, they are for the very low resistance power lines into the CPU. And so long as they are sort of like above 2, between 2 and 10, you're usually pretty good. These are the inductors for the voltage to buck convert, and all these SRC parts, they are the controllers that handle the switching of the voltage on and off, that then feeds through the inductors, and then that all gets stored in these capacitors, and they regulate out to the appropriate voltage, in theory. So I really cannot see anything here. So I would certainly say my first point of attack will be to swap that ISL. Other people may have a different point of attack, but yeah, it's the sort of thing I would opt to have a shot at. Now let's see if we can get some Jason Vilma level of flux going on here. Looks like I've already put about 10 times too much down. Tweezers, where did you go? Tweezers. Ah, niemand. Was the tweezers? Yeah, I had my good tweezers like 5 seconds ago, and now I cannot find them. Oh, this is the story of my life. Where did you go? Oh, there you are. What are you doing on the ground behind me? Crazy little pair of tweezers. Hey ZX, how's it going? So yeah, when you don't have anything to go off in terms of hints on the board, you're essentially forced to have to start just either you historically know like the only symptom we have is that it's doing this sort of loop cycle, which I will admit isn't really symptomatic of the ISL, but yeah, it's probably more symptomatic of a short somewhere. Now, just in case nothing changes when I put the new ISL on, it will indicate that this ISL was perfectly fine, so I put it in a little tote box where I'll put the screws, and that way I can always re-ball it and go, okay, well I know that one's fine. Okay, now, where are all my other ones? Okay, just going through my box of goodies. Look at my ISLs. There we go. ISL 9240s. Thankfully, these things have become a little bit more reasonably priced. Hey, Jason. I just happen to be talking about your very minimal flux usage. You've become, that's sort of your thing. You're like the complete antithesis of Rossmann. And I've just realized that I actually need to clear those pads first before I can put this down, so we will stick this chip on top of the box. Not in the box, but on top of it. And I have to clear away these pads, replace them with leaded solder, and then clear that away with some hot air wicking, and then I can put down the new one. I do have to put it down a little more flux. It looks smashed. It didn't look smashed to me. Must be in just the camera. I'll have another look at it, but anyway. Okay, so leaded solder on there. Yeah, I know, it looks like a train wreck, and that's because it's too much. It needs some thermal assist here so we get the hot air out. Very important when you're doing this sort of thing, if you feel the soldering iron stick, don't force it. If you force it, you'll rip up the pads, and that's really not something you want to do. Because repairing ripped up pads is no fun at all, particularly if it's a line that goes straight to the CPU on the other side or something like that, or it's just a buried pad that you're never going to, it never pops up anywhere else on the board, except underneath some exotic chip. So yeah, if you feel the soldering iron stick, then just stop, drop and roll. Alright, so we're just going to use this to clean up that leaded solder we put down there. It's a very non-destructive way of flattening out those pads. Joseph King, sounds like you're going to become the new conspiracy master. Okay, while the board's still warm, we'll just get a nice light coating of flux. I kind of overdid it there. And the other thing we have to do is now remember what our orientation was. Oops. Let's see, 1521. Where are you? What? So what? Oh well, wow, I was blind there. Okay, so pin 1 is up towards the big caps up there. All good. You do want to be very careful with these particular chips. They look very pretty, but like many things that are very pretty, they're very delicate, and if you treat it ever so slightly wrong, it will let you know very quickly. There. So we're actually going to back our air down. 60% is good, and back the temperature down to about 430, and we should be good. The reason why I back the air down is because it's very easy to blow these particular chips off the board, and usually that happens just moments after the solder balls have become liquid. So rather than flying off in a way that you can just put the chip back on. It waits for the opportune moment. Okay, I may have to crank the temperature up because this is not... I think I just... Oh wait, there it goes. Damn it. Now it can be very tempting to tap this sucker. I'm not going to do that. I am going to give it a little bit more flux and then hit it at the normal full speed. Okay, I'm happy with that now. Hey Tony, alive, so I'm happy. Does Flexboard View have board layouts? Only a couple of iPads that I've seen. It's not actually for me to provide those schematics in board view. It's more like Flexboard View is more like, say, AutoCAD or Microsoft Word, where it's the tool that allows you to view those files, but the files are actually generated by the respective companies. Like Apple produces the board view files for their products, and it's a case of someone has to leak them out. Or occasionally, like there's one chap who is manually recreating the board views for us for some products. So yeah, when you see them bundled with other products like ZXW and whatnot, it's, you know, it's kind of legally dubious, but because they are generally outside the jurisdiction of most of the US's legal arm, then they're safe. But I'm here in Australia and we do have the Federal Trade Agreement in place, and that trade agreement means that effectively I may as well be in the United States and I can be served notice awfully quickly if they decide that they don't like what I'm doing. VR edition, now that would be quite terrifying. Interesting though. Needs to say, I do my best to try and get board views and schematics available for as many products as I can, and I am constantly trying to add new file formats. I've kind of stuttered a little bit on TiboView, but I did receive a nice update the other day and I've just got to get around to implementing it. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we have any change of behavior before I do anything else. I do suspect it's not going to change, and we've actually got a short somewhere. Oh no, yep, we've got 20 volts. Huh, it was the ISL. Well, so much for not believing in myself, huh? That'll learn me. If you do iPhones, or say you follow Jessa Jones and her videos, then the parallel in that sort of scenario is when you get phones come in and they're basically new, they haven't been opened, they've got no liquid damage, but they're not taking charge, or you know, they don't seem to be behaving. In which case you then have to think, okay, what possible external items has caused damage? And one of the classics in the iPhone, of course, is a bad charger, which knocks out the TriStar. And this is basically the MacBook analog. Hey, Michael Tritz. Okay, so we've got... And if it wasn't the ISL, then I probably would have looked at the CD32 17s or 15s on this one. And if it wasn't those, then I'd probably be up the creek. The other thing you have to, if you're doing this for a living, you have to understand that while it may be technically possible to fix everything, it's not always in your best interest so far as a business is concerned. Sometimes you just have to walk away from it and go, you know what, if someone else wants to fix this, they can. If they want to stick 7-8 hours of hard work into it, believe me, I already do it enough as it is. It's bad enough. But you do have to try what you know and then call it a day if you can't work it out. So I don't know if this is going to boot, but we'll see. Yeah, okay, 380, 260, 450. It looks like it's coming up. 447, 500. Okay, that actually looks more like a charge build-up, not a boot. Might just need me to press the button. Yeah, we've got a fan spin. And we've got an Apple logo. Yay! Yeah, Santa Claus. Jason is just rolling in it these days. He acts poor. He tries hard to be the Steve Martin of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but really, he's the Michael Caine. I, on the other hand, are very much the Steve Martin. I always play the poor role, like, oh, poor me, Okay, what's going on here? It's doing a long boot, which means it's probably going to go into have you forgotten your password boot. Anyone here watch Viva La Dirt? The YouTube channel Viva La Dirt. They do the Epic NPC Man and Player Unknown skits and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, there's a dude in there and he's always crying. That can be me sometimes. It cracks me up. Question now, what's this? Stay at 20 volts? Yes, it is staying at 20 volts. Hey, there we go. It's running very slow though. Now, what's the battery state? Okay, the battery's showing 0. So what we're going to do, I'll have to see if that picks up. Let's see, it is... Yeah, we may have a problem with the battery, because that's sitting at 375, 350, but it is at 0%. So with lithium packs, when you're below a certain threshold voltage, you have to drop back quite a lot on what you're trying to push into them in terms of current. When I say push in, what I mean is that when you measure the voltage of the battery pack, if you know you have a certain amperage you want to try push in, then you raise the voltage of that line, the charge line, so that, and then you measure the current, so that you can then start getting power in there. But yeah, below a certain threshold, you have to go very gently with lithium packs. Once they get above, usually around about 2.75 per cell, then you can go up to the higher currents. What board is this? Pedro, why do you not know? This is the 1521. Why are the fans at max? That I'm not yet sure about. It could be the PMIC is damaged, because the PMIC, the T2 SMC portion, the battery, they all share the same I2C lines. So it could be because of that. That's U7800, I think, on this one. If the battery is damaged, the battery will actually do that. It will pull down one of the lines or potentially just stop the communication outright. It'll explain why it's so slow. In fact, Vince, my friend, the YouTube repair channel, he's got a very similar problem right now with one of his machines. So let's see, we shut down. If I disconnect the battery, it'll be interesting to see how the behavior changes. Hey, hi. I'll show you what I mean by with the I2C lines. So schematics, I think it's page 45. 45 go. Yep, it is. Okay, here we go. These are the ones that matter. So we have our battery charger, power management unit, and the SMC, which is inside the T2. And if the battery is dead for some reason and it hogs these lines or it prevents these lines from working, then your SMC is going to not be able to talk to the charger properly. The PMU, everything's going to go into limp mode, all because of the battery. So we're going to disconnect the battery, see what happens. The only thing is, they don't like it when you don't have a battery in them either, so you're sort of doomed either way. I probably should have run diagnostics while I was open then. Hey Bob. Yes, compared to the 1502, these are tiny boards. I do like these boards, except for the fact that, you know, they do have the T2, which is a bit of a nightmare. It's still a little sluggish. So I don't know if I've got a working 1932 pack. That's the trouble. But hopefully, though, the fan won't go flat out anymore. Yeah, I just realised this is making contact on my mouth. That's not good. Yeah, Travis, I actually emailed Vince and gave him a couple of ideas. I said if he changes the battery and it still misbehaves, then I would say try change J70 U7800, the PMU. And if it's not the battery or the PMU, then you're sort of up the creek, because in that case it's probably the T2. Wait till you get the M1 Max. I actually don't mind the M1's boards. The nice thing about the M1 boards is that they have encapsulated all the important stuff that would... I can hear it going flat out again. They've encapsulated all the important stuff that could kill the CPU and stuff like that into a vastly better protected area, leaving the electronics outside of that sort of secondary. Yeah, they're just the glue logic and things like that. So you can get liquid damage on those outside parts and not be as likely to kill the entire board. So I feel like they've learned their lessons from these earlier boards. Okay, the fan's going flat out. I would hazard to say this is basically just going to be a battery replacement now. Particularly the fact that the ISL failed, so it probably did a number on the battery. So, Corona mic? Where do you people come up with this stuff? Oh, is my mic failing, is it? No. But yeah, the 1932, the batteries are horrendous. I think probably 1 out of every 3 that I get from my supplier actually works properly. They'll look like they work initially. You'll plug them in and, you know, they seem to up and run. And then 2 or 3 days later you get a call from the customer saying, it's misbehaving. And sure enough, you look at it and the battery is cactus. And so you replace it, you get another one, and the story repeats. And I don't know why they're having the problem. I think it's more to do with the controller chip than it is to do with the battery. Okay, we need to apply a little bit of warmth, but not too much, just to get this little bit of adhesive off. Jeez, I said not too much. That's like way much. Yeah, that's better. It's like there's a threshold temperature it has to get to before it will willingly detach for you. There we go. Sounds washed out, does it? That's probably just me. Is it any better now that I moved it away, or...? I do have a tendency to talk into the throat a bit when I get tired. Hello. You're awfully sloppy. Someone has probably already pulled your battery out by the feel of this. Now, that one does not have the pull tab on it. This one does. Okay, there we go. Oh, for flip's sake. What's the point of having a pull tab if you're just going to break like that? Gently, gently, gently. Pulling the pull tab out. Yay! And there's the bottom one. That was only a little one. Yep. Washed out with spit. Ew. My voice sounds a bit splintered. Interesting. I appreciate that Apple have put effort into making these batteries replaceable. They kind of still miss the mark a little bit, but I suspect they're doing this in order to try and reduce rattle noises. Okay. So like we have the screw down part, but then under these cells there are actually more pull straps. Rub some neem seed. Ha! Yesterday I was supposed to be cleaning up the yard and removing the remnants of that neem tree, the chopped down parts, and well, I didn't make it that far. And I was planning again today to go out there and finish the job, not with my head, I mean finish the mowing and get back onto things, but I actually fell asleep, which was a bit silly. Who would have thought of doing that? I think even though it's a fairly minor head injury, it still does have some taxing effect on your body, and you certainly do run out of energy a little quicker. Neem contains limonene. Oh, really? I know it's a very versatile... Where's that versatile? I know it's got a lot of properties, but it is a bit invasive here in Australia. Wow, so many pull strips. Starting to wonder if someone at Apple has a fetish for pull strips. There's a lot of effort put into the design of this, and yet they still managed to butcher it. Yes, the body needs more rest, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I may have another person's one that was intermittent. I'll have a looky look. Let's see, original for testing machines. Let's see. No. You're a good for nothing lousy 1466 battery. Get out of here. Yeah, see, sometimes things get tempting. I've got a another 1932 over here, but I'm not going to fall for that trap. No siree. Fool me 6 or 7 times. Yeah. What about you? Oh, you're empty, aren't you? You're so empty without me. Alright, looks like I've got a problem. As in, I do not seem to have a 1932 pack that I'm willing to try. So, looks like that'll be the end of that. I'm going to have to order in another 1932 pack. I need to have more anyway. But, needless to say, we are booting now. And it's highly likely, based on experience, that we just simply need to get a battery pack that's working, because the other one is, well, dead. And so I think I'll just put that back there. So I think we'll call that for a night. It is, after all, 12:30, and I need to go and have my sleep, or at least I think I do, and we'll see how we are tomorrow. But it'll probably take 2 or 3 days to get the battery. So it means you probably won't see what's going on. But I will try and update what is happening afterwards. The reason... Okay, we'll see if we can peel the tape back a little bit on this. But I try not to destroy their battery packs until I can confirm they are legitimately dead. Because nothing quite like destroying a perfectly good battery pack and then finding out that, whoops, it wasn't the fault. So they got this stupid foam stuff here. So we got MOSFET. Damn it. Try and find an appropriate separator. Yeah, it is the body's way of healing. I absolutely agree. Put you into a coma. Damn it, man. Well, we didn't get all of it. We got some of it. What we got here? That there, this 15 AFR C3, that'll be probably a polyfuse. That's your current sense for the onboard. Now these MOSFETs, and this will be your main battery input. Okay, these here will be cell data sort of thing. So the pack would have got 3 cells on this? Yeah, 3 cells, okay. So it will be able to sense the individual cells. Let's see what's showing on the plus and minus on there. Doesn't matter if it's reversed. So 4 volts, that's, yeah. Are these things running in series or parallel? Would imagine they'll be in series. Yeah, 11.4, so we're well below the threshold. Maybe I could actually just leave it in there for longer. But 3 cells, 4 volt, you divide that by 3 and you realise there's not enough power there. Or one of them has either completely collapsed or they've all just dropped too far and there's no hope for them. Interesting though, they haven't puffed up. I hate this sort of business. Oh well. Yeah, so that voltage is just significantly too low. And I'm just tearing off. It's got a real affinity for this plastic, but not itself. Oh well. Okay. I'm out here. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. We didn't really have lots of smoking guns tonight, but yeah, it's the way it goes. At least with the 1932 we went from not booting at all to booting. We just have a battery fault, and yeah, you just have to trust me that when we replace the battery, it will be hunky dory. Okay, I'm out of here. You'll take care. I'll see you next time.